with them driving. Is there any, is it out?
Yep,
Yep.
pretty much the same.
Yeah,
except,
Joey's playing. That's the only difference.
Joey's playing, Trevino
Okay.
DH, and Trevino's catching.
Okay. Was there anything in particular with Joey or just today?
Just a day. We had been talking for the last couple weeks basically, and he's been grinding pretty hard physically. He's pretty tired, pretty exhausted to be honest with you. Mentally, he was pretty fatigued. So, obviously yesterday with Luzardo being really tough on lefties, it was a really good day to kind of get him off. It killed me to give our best player off, especially after losing 8 in a row. But I felt like it was important for his mental and physical health to give him off.
For you, as you're now, starting to, are you starting to get some regularity with the lineup? We talked about it before. Is it more a matter of you don't have a ton available, or are those things becoming easier on a daily basis?
Yeah, we're a little bit, I guess, I wouldn't say short, but with 3 catchers, and some guys are starting to hit, so they're obviously going to play, and yeah, I think obviously with the left-handed lineup and the right-handed lineup, like there is a little bit more consistency. I moved a few guys around today just to kind of get them going, but other than that, yeah, it's a little bit more consistent for sure.
What are you seeing as far as plate approaches?
It's better. The only thing I really kind of demand, obviously, is we try to be as consistent as possible. But when we have a game plan, I want to know what that is. I want to know. We obviously have hitters meetings every day to talk about it, discuss it. Every guy is going to have their own individual approach to a specific pitcher, but I want to see that that's being executed. That's my biggest thing. I know how hard it is to hit. I know that that's not always going to produce results, but when I don't see guys kind of following what they said they were going to do, that's the only time I get I wouldn't say upset, but I just get a little bit, hey, we got to stick to what we set out to do. And yesterday we did exactly what we said we were going to do, especially from the beginning. The kid's pretty good. Obviously, Luzardo's got he's got a good mix of pitches, and we attacked him like we said we would. So that's the only thing I'm really looking for when it comes to is if guys can follow through in the game plan that they set out.
When you look at the back end of the bullpen and what Jonathan and Rafael have been able to do, would you have imagined that in spring? Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I did. I think we all did, especially with Montero, what we saw last year, his ability to execute pitches, with the game being on the line. I'm not surprised by it. Jonathan, I knew he's capable of it. I didn't know he would. I saw it at the end of the year, and just the transition he had from probably AA to the big leagues. How quickly he kind of started to understand, and a lot of it has to do with his mentality and his psychological. Like he's really grown a lot in the last year, and obviously with his mechanical adjustments, he's able to be consistent. And so we knew with the power stuff that he has, that if he could be consistent throwing the ball to the plate, that this would be the result. And it's been pretty awesome to watch because he's been pretty dominant.
That's it for me. Thanks, Woody.
Okay, other questions, please. Evan.
Woody, is Chu improved?
Yeah, he's getting close. I'm just kind of waiting to see where he's kind of ready to kind of just go. I think his side was probably the biggest issue. At making sure that when he takes swings that he's not risking kind of blowing out that oblique. But I think overall he feels pretty good right now, and I'd like to get him back in there whenever he's ready.
But this team hasn't messed around with obliques in the past, and he's missed. This is going to be his 6th game out, and you do have 3 catchers. Why not put him on the IL?
We thought about it, and I think if he's going to miss another couple of days, then it probably makes sense to do that. But we knew that this series we'd like to have him available, even if it meant he was only going to be available for 1 or 2 games. It was worth having him miss 6 or 7 days. At least he could play the last 3. Yeah, it's a tough decision because it puts us in a little bit of a bind if he's not available. I know he was available the first couple nights of those 6 games. Basically, I shut him down the last 2 or 3 to kind of let him heal. So it's risky to kind of do that because it puts you limited on the bench. But at the same time, like having him for the last 3, we felt like was more important potentially than putting him on the IL and having him miss all 10.
And the last thing for me is, you go back and look at last night's game. Obviously, Lance pitches really well, but the contributions that you get from, again, these guys who seem to be part of your future. Kiner with the go-ahead home run, Solak starting the rally in the first inning, and Jonathan. How exciting is it for you to potentially look at these younger guys for a longer period of time?
Absolutely. No, I'm super excited, and I think these guys are going to contribute right away. Like Tavares. You bring him up. He has some really quality at bats, kind of what I was expecting, and to know that he's out there in center field playing in elite center field. Solak has been doing it for us all year, so now we're starting to get into seeing these guys for a longer period of time. Endure some struggle, just continue, like Nick being an example of that, seeing how he can handle just at bat after bat after bat after bat, and you lose the beginning stages of like, oh, this guy can really hit. Can he endure an entire season? And I know there's only 60 games, but it's still a good barometer for me to kind of measure these guys and say, okay, how do they measure up on a daily basis? And that's that's the only way you're really going to get to see who they really are. And Nick's done a great job. Obviously, Jonathan in his first, he hasn't pitched a game hasn't been high leverage. Every single time he's pitched has been high leverage. So, and he's done extremely well. So that's a huge positive for us as we move forward, especially into the end of this year and then for next year as well.
Great, thank you.
Other questions, please? TR.
Kobe Allen going to start tomorrow, sir?
We're still kind of debating. Obviously, we got to wait till we see. As of right now, I would say we may put somebody in front of him, but we'll have to wait till after the A's game to see where we stand pitching wise.
Okay, here's a juicy conspiracy question.
Which is,
that's what we do in America.
Yeah, no doubt.
How important is it for you guys to get Chu on the field this week so that other clubs can see that he's healthy and possibly available by trade before the deadline?
Yeah, I mean, and if you're looking at it from a trade standpoint, I guess it would be important. I think I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, these are big games for us to win. So, I would prefer to have Chu on the field and in the lineup because he's one of our best hitters. So I'm not going to buy into the conspiracy. Obviously, if you have a thought to trade him, then yeah, obviously you'd like to see him play.
Jeff?
Hey, what kind of guy is Kyle Gibson?
What kind of guy?
Yeah.
It's a good question. No, I mean, I could speak for a while on Kyle Gibson. He's a fantastic guy. He's, obviously very team-oriented, tremendous competitor, great, preparer before games, quality teammate, very generous with his time, and does a lot of things off the field to help the less fortunate. He's got a really good heart, and he's obviously on the field, he's a really good competitor, and it was a pleasure to have around.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff away from the field. It seems like he's kind of got some other guys involved. How important is that for the other guys who maybe weren't involved in charity?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think a lot of guys, obviously we take ourselves pretty serious in this game, and sometimes too much so. A lot of guys have a lot of egos, and when you see a guy like Kyle Gibson who's been in the game for a long time, he's had a lot of success, and probably made a bunch of money, he still dedicates a ton of his time to helping those that are in need. And he's got his hands in a lot of different things. Him and his family are very, very giving, and so when other players see that and they realize, okay, maybe this world isn't just about me, I think it's very eye-opening to a lot of guys. And man, this guy does a lot of things off the field. A lot of guys just feel like they wouldn't be able to do that. They don't. I had too much time. I got to worry about myself. I got to worry about my own. But he still manages to do that, and he doesn't really, talk about it. Like, he's not bragging about it. He just wants to get other guys to understand how important of an impact they could have in a community. And he's done it already in Texas. And this isn't his home state, so it's. There's a lot of benefit that comes from that because it makes guys understand that there's a bigger world out there than just the baseball world.
Thank you.
Sam?
I'm curious, just kind of a little out of left field, I guess. DeMarcus Evans, where does he kind of stand in the organization now? Is he someone that you could possibly see, coming up and pitching this year? And if not, what's kind of his timeline?
I think so. I don't know for sure. Obviously, he's one of the guys we really value. He's got elite stuff. He's got an elite fastball with a good breaking ball. He's been working really hard on the other side. Honestly, he's been really kind of trying to get that breaking ball to land for a strike. He tried to change the shape of it, trying to get better command with his fastball. So that way, when he gets to us, he's not obviously a finished product, but he's able to compete. For a while there, he was a little bit off and wasn't able to execute some of his pitches. So we knew that he would struggle here if he had to come up. But I think he's close. Honestly, all the reports I'm getting, and I've seen him a few times, he's commanding the baseball. He's got some conviction. He's working on his emotional, stuff that, he's a very emotional kid. And so sometimes the emotions will get the best of him on the mound. And he's been working really hard to kind of control that and stay in the moment, stay present, and be able to execute. So if he can do those things, I'd like to see him here. And I don't know if that's at the end of this year. I don't know when that would be this year. But if not, he's definitely in our plans for next year, for sure.
And then just going off of kind of Jeff's question, I guess what kind of guy is Marcus? And, you mentioned a little bit about his emotions, just, getting to know him. How would you kind of describe him?
Yeah, he's a guy that, you look at, just his background. He's had to fight for everything. And, you can see that. You talk to him, he's proud of that. He's proud that he's never been, the super highly touted guy. He's had to work for everything that in this game. And he should be proud of that because he's obviously put himself on the map as being one of our, coveted prospects, and we value him pretty high. So, that mentality, that kind of I never take anything for granted mentality is, obviously something I talk about a lot, because when you're on the field and you don't take anything for granted, typically you don't give an inch, and when you don't do that, you typically become successful. So I hope that he maintains that and he keeps that edge. He's got a little chip on his shoulder to kind of prove a lot of people wrong, and that's kind of how he was raised and how he's kind of moving into this big league lifestyle.
Couple more. We'll go to Chris and then Alex.
So, whenever we talk to players and even talking to yourself, this team's pretty good about, putting, not listening to the outside noise, but whenever, the president of baseball operations and GM says that the conversations are looking more longer term, as a second-year manager, how do you get your message across, to stay focused and to still try to win ball games whenever the trade deadline is less than a week away?
Yeah, I don't think anything that you say, even if you're looking long term, that doesn't negate from trying to win a game today. And I think that that's always the goal. We're always going to try to win today. I don't care who you put in the lineup, who you put on the roster. Our goal is to win a game today, and that's all we can control. So that's basically my message every day is we don't have to worry about tomorrow because we're only playing the Oakland A's today. And that's who we got to beat. Whoever's starting for them, whoever comes in for them, we have to beat that team today, regardless of the personnel on our team. And if we're thinking long term, it doesn't matter because today we have an opportunity. We have major league players that are, pretty passionate about winning a baseball game, and that's just, that could be on your mind, I guess, as a player. Thinking of, I don't think any player on our team is looking at it going, well, it doesn't really matter because we're thinking long term. No, these guys want to prove to the world that, they belong here. And I think, when you have a bunch of young, hungry players, it doesn't matter what your narrative is about the future. They want to win today. And I think that's what we focus on here.
Thank you.
Alex. Emily.
It seemed like the free bases really came back to bite you tonight.
Yeah, especially the two hit by pitch. 4 out of the first 5 innings, leadoff guy got on. The 2 hit by pitch ended up scoring. And I felt like there was a couple plays we didn't make. Maybe ground ball back to Kyle. If we turn that double play, the next guy hits a homer. I thought the play in the 7th, kind of turned the game around right there. We were kind of within striking distance, and Jabot gets the ground ball. You could debate whether to go to second or whether to go to home, but if we go home, we got to get the guy out. That's bottom line because, and Jabot ended up walking the next guy, but then he punched out Chapman. So they would have scored 0. But we got to make sure we execute those plays, and those plays are killing us. And the free bases are honestly, that kind of derailed the game a little bit because I felt like we had a little momentum offensively. Solak got the big 2-out hit. We were a tick away the whole game. It's just the long balls and the extra bases killed us.
As far as the hit by pitch, it didn't. I mean, the one to his head was not. It didn't seem like there was any intent there with Kyle, and then things got weird with Robbie. And can you just talk about that situation?
Yeah, I'm not sure if the umpires kind of made something up right there. I don't know if Manaea, threw Robbie intentionally. I don't see why he would. I don't know if there's some bad blood there. I have no idea, but obviously we're not trying to hit anybody in the head, and Gibby just kind of ball got away from him. Gibby's nowhere near the guy that's going to throw at somebody's head. So, obviously he told him afterwards, like, my bad. So I don't know what was going on there. Obviously they warned both sides, but I don't think any of us thought there was any ill intent.
I know you talked about before the game wanting to evaluate the staff and bullpen use and all that stuff before you talked about Colby tomorrow. Is it going to be Colby tomorrow? Are you going to use an opener or?
We're still going to. I'm going to talk to Julio. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Colby, just the way we kind of used the guys tonight. There's a couple guys tonight that we might use, and I don't love having to use somebody early and then not having enough late. I guess the fact that we didn't use our main guys kind of helps because we'll have some more guys later on tomorrow night. But as of right now, I would say it'd probably be Colby.
That's it for me. Thanks, Woody.
Other questions, please? Any questions? No questions? PR.
I locked up here. Is there anything you're seeing from Kyle out there that concerns you as far as
I think. Yeah, I mean, I thought he actually, he got into the 7th inning today. It's just, like I said, it's the leadoff hitters that kind of derailed some of those innings, and they end up scoring. He left a couple balls out over the plate. The one to Olsen, I'm sure he wants back in a 3-1 count. The 4 or 5 in a row to Simeon, ended up leaving one in the middle of the plate. Overall, I thought he threw the ball better than he has. Like I said, he got us into the 7th inning. So just the 2 homers. It seems like every time we give up a big hit, it's a homer. It's not a double in the gap or a base hit. When the balls leave the ballpark and there's runners on base, it obviously adds up to some runs, and that's kind of been the storyline lately.
You don't think he got rattled by hitting Chapman, do you?
No, because I think after that inning, he actually was executing pitches right away. The next 2 hitters, obviously the Olsen homer he fell behind, but the 2 hitters after that he actually was executing pretty well.
Other questions, Chris?
Trevino, 2 doubles tonight, both of them. I think one was 104 miles an hour, another one was 106. You've talked about his ability to hit and how he can hit at this level. How much power do you think he could possibly have, like in terms of the ceiling? Not necessarily a number of home runs, but just his overall ability to drop the ball.
Yeah, it's I feel like he's increased it over the last year since I've seen him. I think last year when we called him up, he had the quad thing last year, and he really worked hard on his swing. He worked hard on his swing not only to give himself a cleaner path, through the baseball, but to get more power. And you can see it. I mean, he's driving balls to the big part of the field consistently. He just missed the first one, hit it pretty deep, and then drove 2 balls in the gap. You see even the last one was, he rides out a slider down and away, still gets good wood on it. So I watched him take BP. I know there's some guys that in BP hit balls far, they don't hit them in the game, but he's able to take the same swing into the game. So I think there's a lot more power than probably people give him credit for. And I think as he moves forward, he'll be definitely a double-digit home run guy, maybe more.
Other questions? Evan?
Hey, Woody, was there any thought, was there any discussion like how you would go into the 7th, or did you feel like Gibson's pitch count at that point was really manageable?
Yeah, I didn't mind him going out there. It was either I was going to go with Jabot either way if he got in trouble. I think with Kemp's ball happening so fast, I didn't mind him against Heim. I didn't mind either matchup, to be honest with you. I thought Gibby was still throwing the ball pretty well, especially after he got the first guy out of the inning. Just unfortunate that I felt like Jabot did a good job trying to get out of it, but unfortunately we didn't make the plays.
Alex.
Woody, are you seeing with Robinson Trinos at the plate? Are you seeing any improvements in these past 2 games since he's been off the IL? Or are you seeing pretty much the same what you were seeing before he was placed on the injured list?
I thought yesterday he had some pretty good at bats. He hit some balls hard yesterday, stayed at the middle. Today, he didn't hit a whole lot, too many balls hard, but I like where his head's at, in BP and kind of what he's working on. What I know, I've talked to the hitting coaches about. So I don't know if it's a case of getting him more at bats and maybe getting him more comfortable. But Robbie, we obviously signed Robbie to be an offensive threat behind the plate, and we're hoping that that comes around at some point because we're going to need him as we move forward.